Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. We got a couple of things to talk about. We got obviously Bitcoin being above 28,000 right now, so we're going to take a look at what's going on with the chart, see if it's looking good or if it's not. We also have a story of somebody saying that Bitcoin's going to go to basically $1 million in 90 days. We'll take a look at what's going on with that story there. What is the likelihood of that actually happening, which we'll get into there. And then we also have, well, the miners, how did they perform against Bitcoin this past week? And it was a really good week for a lot of the miners, not for some, but Bitcoin has done really well as well. So we'll take a look at all of that information. And as always, this is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm invested in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And let's get into the markets here. But if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. Okay, let's see here. We are here in the markets. So obviously Bitcoin right now is at 28,058. It is up approximately 3.98% so far in the day, which is, we're having a really good, pretty much like almost a week and a half or so of Bitcoin just going up like crazy. If we look at the weekly chart on it, we can see we got this nice big candle here, and it is up right now 26.22% on the week. It's one of the best weeks we've had in a long time, which is great to see. The only thing is that the RSI is definitely going up a lot higher than I would have liked to have seen. Now, on the daily chart, we have seen a little bit of a comeback yesterday. It pulled down in price a little bit. RSI did go down just barely below 70 here, looks like. And then we're back up today again to where we were yesterday, but the price is higher on that one. So that's a good sign there. We can still definitely go up much higher. So right now, we are also kind of battling with a resistance, which is at around 28,000, roughly 600 or so, roughly right around there, give or take a little bit. But it's kind of like where our resistance is right now. We'll see if it can have the strength to get above it and close above it. That's a big thing, because we might be battling with that for a little bit here where we bounce up, bounce below it, and so forth. But we'll see how that's going to play out during this week. Next, looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see here that the RSI has also come down, but the price has been coming up as well, which is good. If you see the RSI back here was at 84. Price at that point was at 25,986. We are lower on the RSI at 69 right now, but the price is at 28,000 right now. So that's also a good sign so far in the 4 hours. 1 hour is looking the same way. RSI has come down here to 63 right now, and price is at 28,072. We peaked up here a little bit here at 78. At that point, price was also higher than where it was back here. So that's a good sign as well. So I think we still have a little bit more room to run, but we might be heading up into this zone here where we're having resistance at the 28,600 line, somewhere around there. Okay, Ethereum is also doing pretty good right now. Ethereum on is up 2.03% right now, and you can see here on the day it's having a pretty good day at 1,799. It did reach 1,846, which was also good. So on the RSI, it looks pretty good on the daily chart, 4-hour chart, and the 1-hour chart. So I think there's more room for Ethereum to run as well. Okay. So that's it. We'll see how this is going to play out going into tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. We also have one other thing I got to point out to you guys. The Bitcoin CME futures on the CME group closed on Friday at 27,000. We are way above that now. We're at 28,066. We may have a pretty sizable gap here that we need to fill, depending on where it closes. I have it right now at 28,130, which was when I checked it. So we're going to have this gap that might have to be filled eventually in time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get above this line here and then come back down a little bit before we start going back up. But we'll see how it's going to play out. Okay, so that's it for the update on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at this story that we do have on Bitcoin going to $1 million in 90 days. So this is a bet. So former Coinbase CTO makes $2 million bet on Bitcoin's performance. I'm going to try and pronounce his name, but I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, so I do apologize. It looks like Balaji Srinivasan has predicted that Bitcoin will reach 1 million within 90 days due to hyperinflation in the United States. So that would be obviously concerning if we get into hyperinflation in the United States or anywhere else and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, but we'll get into my thoughts here on it once we get through some of the details. So Balaji has made a millionaire bet on Bitcoin price over the next 90 days, predicting the cryptocurrency will reach 1 million by June 17th. So that's only roughly, 90 days away. The wager was initiated on March 17th when synonymous Twitter user James Medlock offered to bet anyone 1 million that the United States would not experience hyperinflation. A few hours later, the former Coinbase executive accepted the bet. Sir, I believe we have ourselves a deal, and they got into this bet. So under the proposed terms, if Bitcoin price fails to reach 1 million by June 17th, Metlock will win 1 million worth of the dollar pegged stablecoin USD coin and 1 BTC. In the same way, if Bitcoin is worth less than 1 million by the date, then Balaji can keep the 1 BTC and the 1 million in USDC. Balaji explained in the thread, you buy 1 BTC, I will send 1 million USD. This is 40 to 1 odds, as 1 Bitcoin is worth now 26, was now worth 28. The term is 90 days. And other Twitter users helped set up a smart contract with the betting terms. Balaji also disclosed that he would move another 1 million in USDC for another wager on the same topic. So now he's betting $2 million. Either he knows something that we don't know, or I don't know, or he's just very bullish on it, or he's hedging his bets on it somehow. Okay. So I am moving in another 2 million into USDC for the bet. I will do it with Metlock and one other person. Sufficient to prove the point. See my next tweet. Everyone else should go buy Bitcoin as it'll be much cheaper for you than locking one up for 90 days. Okay. So that's his tweet there. Metlock and Balaji made the wager based on the different views of the U.S. economy's futures amid ongoing uncertainty regarding its banking system. There is a lot of uncertainty right now, which I will admit. We just had news come out today that UBS is buying out Credit Suisse for like $3 billion. They're also getting a bunch of guarantees from the government that they can pull money in as well if they need it. And Srinivasan argues that there's an impending crisis that will lead to the deflation of the US dollar and thus to hyperinflation scenario that would take the BTC price to 1 million. Metlock, on the other hand, is bearish about the upcoming hyperinflation in the country. So we got different points of views here on this topic. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. And then meanwhile, Bitcoin's price has reached 27,387 at the time of writing, with its market capitalization adding over 194 billion year to date to a 66% growth in 2023, outperforming Wall Street bank stocks amid fears of global banking crisis. Also, for the first time in a year, BTC's price has shifted away from the United States stocks, rising about 65% compared to the S&P 500's 2.5 gains and the NASDAQ's 15% decline, Cointelegraph reported. And that's kind of what I've been saying also in this past week. It looks like we're decoupling from the regular traditional markets with Bitcoin, and usually it used to follow like NASDAQ, but that's gone away. Okay, so now, what are my thoughts on this? Right now, I'm thinking that in order for this to work out in his favor, to have Bitcoin get to $1 million, there's going to be a hyperinflation. If that's the case, well, then we're all screwed anyway, so it doesn't really matter if that happens, because at that point, 1 Bitcoin worth $1 million is not going to be the same thing as 1 Bitcoin worth $1 million right now. What I mean by that is, with this hyperinflation, a house that's worth $1 million right now, if we have such hyperinflation, will be worth 10 million, 20 million, whatever it might be. So it doesn't really make much of a difference as far as the gains that we would see on it, right? You're still going to be paying a heck of a lot more for everything else. So for that scenario, I think I wouldn't want that. I would rather have Bitcoin go up slowly and have our inflation be at below 3% if possible. That is a lot better, because we've seen that Bitcoin has done traditionally far better than that, than the markets even. So I would rather have that. And also, I just don't see something like that happening within 90 days. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think on this. I'd love to hear you guys' comments if you guys think this is possible. I mean, it is possible. I mean, if the Armageddon's happening and we get hyperinflation and everything else, it is possible, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the government's going to do everything in their power to stop any kind of bank crisis, any kind of hyperinflation, anything else that they can do on that. But that's just me. Okay. All right. So that's it for the story there. Let's take a look at the next one that we have, which is going to be on Bitcoin and the miners, see how they did this past week. So the top chart that we always look at here recently is, well, the green chart is how far the miners have gone up in price from their 52-week lows. The bottom one is how far away they are from their 52-week highs. So you can see here now, Cypher is way up there. It's up 507% here since the bottom, basically. It's low. Marathon is up 162%. Riot's up 149%. Core Scientific is up huge, 790% from their bottom. Hut 8 is up 141. DigiHost is up also really high, 425%. Bitcoin is up 75% now. Hive is up 124%. BitDigital's up 139%. Argo is up 366%. Bitfarms 134%. DMG 136%. CleanSpark up 40%. Sphere up 42%. Iris up 192%. TerraWolf up only 14%. And Mawson up 113% so far. And some of these guys that have gone up quite substantially here, like Cypher, DigiHost, Argo, Core is in a different boat. Core is going through bankruptcy right now. That's got a different effect on it. That was being way down, but that one is a big unknown. But I think some of these other guys like Cypher, DigiHost, and Argo being up so high right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of a pullback in the coming week. Just people taking profits because it's up so high. And then if we go up even more on Monday or Tuesday, I could see some profits being taken as well. And then obviously you can see here on the bottom chart where the miners are still way, way, way away from their 52-week highs. The biggest one being is, well, it looks like Core, but Core is a big unknown depending on whether or not they get through their bankruptcy or not. Next one would probably be TeraWolf along with Mawson. And then we could possibly look at Argo, Sphere 3D, and CleanSpark being way off from that. So that's the list there. Now, as far as how the miners did for this past week, a lot of them did a heck of a lot better here. So let's take a look at the chart that we do have over here. We'll go to the 1 week chart, and we can see here that Bitcoin is up 35.85% on the week. These are the ones that did better than Bitcoin. DigiHost up 42, Hut 8 up 49, along with Core Scientific. Riot was up nicely, 52.83. Marathon did a little bit better at 53. Cypher up 75.76%. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a pullback, taking profit in Cypher potentially. Ones that did worse than Bitcoin is Hive, only up 29, BitDigital up 27, Argo up 24, Bitfarms up 23, DMG up 20, CleanSpark up 17, Sphere up 17, Iris up 15, TeraWolf up 5, only Mawson up a fraction of a percentage, 0.41% on the week. So those did worse than Bitcoin for the week. But Bitcoin definitely had a great week here, 35%. It's a huge week. If we look at the 4 weeks chart here, let's take a look at it really quick. We can see, let's see, Bitcoin's up 18.22%. Sorry. The following companies did better than Bitcoin. Core Scientific up 22, along with Marathon, Riot up 37, Cypher up 53 from 4 weeks ago. And these companies did worse. Hut 8 is only up 15, Hive 14, DigiHost 11, Iris up 5, Argo up 1. BitDigital is basically flat on that. And then these companies have done worse. DMG, Bitfarms, Mawson, TeraWolf, CleanSpark, and Sphere 3D. Looking at the 8 weeks as well, you can see that Bitcoin is up 18.83%. Riot is up 32. Iris is up 36. Cypher is up 84. Core is up 100%. And then all of these have done worse than Bitcoin. Hut, DMG, Marathon, BitDigital, Hive, DigiHost, CleanSpark, Argo, Mawson, Bitfarms, Sphere 3D, and TeraWolf. And finally, we'll take a look at the 12 weeks as well. And then one thing I noticed on the chart, I'll show you guys here in a second as well. On the 12 weeks chart, we can see that Bitcoin is up 65.18%. And then all of these companies have done better since that time. Mawson's up 76, Bitfarms up 100, BitDigital is up 111 along with Hive. Hut 8 is up 121, DMG is up 127, Iris up 138 along with Marathon. Riot, Cypher is up 314, DigiHost up 352, and Core is up 386% from that time frame. These companies have done worse. Argo 55, CleanSpark up 20, Sphere up 19, and TeraWolf is actually down. Now, when we look at this chart here, we can see that Bitcoin is over here. And you can see Bitcoin has had nothing but green here for the 12 weeks, 8 weeks, and 4 weeks, and the 1 week, all green here in a row. We did have some weeks that were in the red, but overall, had you bought any time between that time frame, you would be up right now on Bitcoin. And you can only see that on a couple of the companies here. Iris is one, Riot, Cypher, and along with Core Scientific. A lot of these still have some red here had you bought at 8 weeks. So you got DigiHost, Marathon, DMG, Hut 8, Hive, BitDigital, Bitfarms, Mawson, Argo, CleanSpark, Sphere 3D, and TeraWolf. Those are definitely lagging behind on Bitcoin. It'll be interesting to see if they actually start popping here, if Bitcoin starts getting closer to 28. Well, it's at 28,000 right now, but once it gets to 30,000 or something like that, if those start to pick up steam a little bit more. But you can see here on all of these here, all these weeks, so these are weekly numbers. And we can see here that we had a great week here, all green across the board for all the miners. Then we had basically 3 weeks where we were in the red for the most part, 1 green week, 1 red week, and then we had nice almost 4 or 5 weeks here of green. So hopefully this will continue on going forward into a new trend where we have another 3 to 4 weeks of green. Okay, like we had here back in August where we definitely had a good week, pretty much a good month there as well. Okay. So that's it. So we'll see what happens later on this week. We got, we have the Fed also meeting this week, which is going to be interesting to see what they actually come up with. They got their meeting. I think it's on Tuesday and Wednesday potentially. I'm not sure on this, but I think it's on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll see what the Fed rate is going to decide as far as interest rates. Is it going to be 25 basis points, 50 basis points? It looks like the numbers right now are pointing to 25 basis points, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't raise them at all, just kind of sees where things go with the banks. I mean, right now, the banks are having a huge impact on it. So that would be a nice surprise. I think if that happens, well, we're off to the moon with Bitcoin. But if we get 25 basis points, I think that's kind of calculated in anyways. So we'll just continue going up slowly. Okay. Let me know what you guys think. And then like I said, we'll see what happens this week. Oh, it's going to be a busy week. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. And then also the spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members as always. Thank you to everyone there. Have a great rest of the Sunday. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.